Hello, patrons! How are we doing? It's Darwin the Studio Cat here. Hello, Darwin. Well, it's good to be back. It's good to see you, Darwin. Oh, yes, it's good to see you, Darwin. Darwin's had an adventurous day. He's been outside a lot today with us. Today we bought some patio furniture for the summer because we figured it'd be nice to be able to sit outside. So we bought some patio furniture, didn't we? Yeah, and Darwin's been helping us. First of all, he helped us by chasing a bee and getting stung on his paw, but it hasn't swollen up too badly. You might be able to see it's a little bit bigger than the other one, but it's not too bad. And then he climbed up in the other side of the garage, climbed up a shelf onto two box tops that were overhanging a shelf, and then went crashing down and fell the full height of the garage, didn't you? Which was fun. What else did you do? You did something else. Oh, and then he was underneath the table, and Katie spilt some hot tea on his head, which he didn't feel because he had such thick fur. Right? Yeah. So it's not been a great day for little Darwin, but he's enjoying his time in the studio now, right? So it's good to be back. It's good to be back to the Beehive. It looks like I've got a suntan. I'm wearing my Chile, this is Peru football top. So this was a top that I got. Let's get rid of this straggly string. It's really hard on a webcam. I'm just going to end up ripping hair out. Ah, there we go. This is the quality stuff you tune in for, I know. Last night I spoke to you in Peru. Right, Darwin? Last night I spoke to you in Peru. We ended up, after I did our live stream, we ended up going out into Peru, and it was Scotland versus Peru, playing football, soccer, as it's known over in the States. We were chatting to this guy who said the place to go is down that street. It's called Pizza Street. And sure enough, it was a load of pizza restaurants that had like bars outside with massive TVs. Right, Darwin? Yeah. And so we went there, bought some of these Peruvian tops, and Peru won. They beat Scotland, which was good news. The reason why me and Darwin are looking at the AC is because we're getting showered in some in moisture. I don't think that's supposed to happen, is it, Darwin? I just put the heater on the AC and it's coming down, but I think it's just it's switching over from dehumidified to heat. Anyway, I'm back, and I'm very happy to be back. Had the most epic journey back. Had a 31-hour trip. Back from Concepcion, which is in Chile, via Santiago, where at Santiago I had a 9-hour layover because we got the same first flight as everybody else, but Carl and Simon just shot off to England straight away, leaving us to wait in the airport for 9 hours until our flight left, and then had 4 flights in total. So then I flew to Houston from Santiago. Then I flew from Washington from Houston. And then I flew to Rhode Island, which used to be your name, right? Darwin used to be called Rhode Island. That was his name at the shelter when we got him. We changed it to Darwin, and now he's fascinated with the air conditioner. Right? So it was an epic journey home, and meeting me at the airport was not Darwin, but my parents, and of course Katie. So it was very, very nice to come back. I was very tired, but Had a day of rest, and I'm good to go. Building garden furniture and programming my AC unit so it works with my Wi-Fi. That was the job for today. So yeah, it's all been very productive. What was Emma's name? Emma's name was Kenya. It was Rhode Island and Kenya, so there must be a pattern naming animals after places. I must say, Rhode Island, you weren't really that exotic, were you? Kenya is much more exotic. Yeah, right, yeah, I don't know why they called her Kenya. Maybe she had a patch of black on her, which was the shape of Kenya. But somewhere along my 31-hour journey, I caught a cold. So I felt it come on somewhere above Mexico, probably. So, which is a pain, but still, not the end of the world. I have a dog named Sniff. We kept the name. Aww. As for the guitar back there. Let me show you the guitar back there. This is actually a guitar that somebody made for me. Somebody called Andrew, who is now actually one of my students. But he took this body, and it's a really nice old, I'm guessing 60s body, and he made it. He put a neck on it. He put lots of skulls on it, so that makes it look not very 60s. I'm having issues with this AC. At the moment it's very, very humid, so I am going to turn it on to dehumidify. Just let me give me a second here. That's in dry mode now. Yeah, still trying to get to grips with this AC unit, but you can probably see the guitar is very humid here straight away, which isn't great. Yeah, it seems to be blowing out moisture, which is not what you want from a heater, is it? But yeah, it's a semi-acoustic. Action is very, very high. There you go. So that's that. I'll give you a little tour of my guitars, actually. That's that guitar. And then we have this Telecaster. I don't know if you've seen this Telecaster before, but this Telecaster is actually modelled after a guitar called a Nocaster. And the reason why it's called a Nocaster is you'll actually see it just says Fender up there and nothing else. So it earned itself a nickname, the Nocaster. And the story behind this guitar is that Fender in 1953 or 50, I think it was 53, they brought out what we know as the Telecaster, but they called it the Broadcaster. Now, a drum company, it was something like the Broadcaster. I think it was it Broadcaster? It was something like that anyway. And a drum company had already patented that name. Let's go with the Broadcaster. So Fender said, it's okay, we'll change the name. But Leo Fender, being the real, I was going to say tight-fisted, but being the money saver, let's say, that he was, they had a load of decals that said Fender Broadcaster, and he didn't want to waste them. They ordered the Fender. They changed the name to the Telecaster, but for the run of 100 that they did in 1954, he didn't want to waste the decals because every cent costs, or every cent counts. So he kept the decals and just got the factory workers to snip off the Broadcaster bit and just put Fender on there. So you had a very, very short period in 1954, I think it was, where you had, before 54 you had the broadcaster, after 54 you had the Telecaster, all the same guitar, but in 54 you had what is affectionately known as the Nocaster, where it actually has no name. And it's not because they had no name; they were advertised as the Telecasters. But this is basically a reissue. It's a Fender reissue of the Nocaster. So there you go. And this must be horrendous strings. Yes, horrendous strings. They're literally caked with rust and dirt. I've not used them for ages. I think you're going to see Darwin ascend the ladder in a minute. Oh no, he ascended a box. Darwin, be careful up there. All right. Hey, Hockey Tube. So I can't remember who you are. Is it Alex? Maybe. Ah, cool. Well, I hope your rehearsal's going well. So yes, so this is my Nocaster. Let me show you another interesting guitar over here. Darwin, what are you doing up there, eh? What are you doing up there? What are you doing? Let me move some of this stuff so you'll be more comfortable. Let me move some of this stuff for you. There you go. That's much better. There we go. That's much better, isn't it? Yes. Look at him. You not been worried by your great fall today? No? He had a bit of blood on his cheek as well today, from the fall. But he seems to be okay. Seems to be his adventurous self. Alright, so the other thing that I've got out in here is this crazy... Well, it's a bass, but it's got 6 strings and it's tuned like a guitar, but an octave lower. Hey Sue, how's it going? Good to see you. So it means that I can play just all guitar-y things, but on bass. Oh, right, it's Rolf. Ah, okay, Rolf. Ah, cool. Great. Well, great to see you, Rolf. I need to make a note of all of these different handles for people. I'm just showing people my guitar bass. Etc. There you go. Very cool. So Simon was not happy when I bought this thing, but it is fantastic. Which guitar is my favourite? I would say I would have to go with the Patrick Eggle that I use all the time. It's so versatile. It plays great. Really like the way it sounds. I mean, obviously you're not going to get one guitar that'll do everything, but yeah, it's, for me, it suits me really well. So yeah, I really like that guitar. So that'll be my favourite. So there you go. One thing I have done today is I have got my other webcam in. And with a bit of luck, you'll still be able to hear me. And I can take you for a walk. There you go. So we can have a look around the studio. I'll give you a little bit of a tour. Over in this corner, we've got some lights for recording, for filming. This is the AC unit up here, which has been spitting water at me today, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. It just seems very humid in there. At the moment, this is my desk setup. This This is a bee that I need to put up on the wall. Here is the mighty theremin. It's not plugged in at the moment. I will give you a demo of that at some point. And this is kind of my office station. Lots of envelopes and things like that, and printer and mailing things, labels. And over here we've got a cat, and that's one of my PV amplifiers that I use with Carl in that case down there. Behind here we have a PRS amplifier, and there's my projector, a little PA, another PV amplifier, and that's about it in here. And now, because I've got this long camera, this camera with a long lead, I can take you up the ladders. So this, in fact, let me put the lights on up there. So I'll climb the ladders, and at the moment, oh, the wire's stuck, sorry. There we go. At the moment, a little bit of a dumping ground, but that's what it looks like up here. Boxes of CDs and posters and all of that sort of stuff. So it's really designed for merch. So there you go. That's a tour of the Beehive, and then I can take you outside as well and show you what it looks like outside, and hopefully this cable will stretch. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me, because I should be using the microphone on the webcam. Oh, look who it is! Hello! Look who it is, as if by magic. It's Mr. B.
Hello everyone, hello Patreons.
So my dad was saying, how do we do this chat thing on a live feed? And obviously it's simple, you just come in here. So if anybody's got any questions for Mr. B Senior, then please type them on the chat thing over there. It'll take a few minutes for them to come through. So while you do type your questions, let's have a look. I was telling them about the patio set that we built today.
Oh, yes.
Look at our handiwork over there. Very nice. So there you go. We got that partly because when the tree landed in the backyard, it's flattened one of the chairs that we had. So let's see if there's any questions coming for us. I'm going to put it on the... Oops, no, we're not starting soon. There we go. Put it on the other webcam. All right, so let's see what we got going on here. How did your guitar fare with all the humidity and varying climates and altitudes in South America? Well, funnily enough, I had to adjust the truss rods probably about 3 times while it was there. I was just saying to my dad, he was saying how long did it take? It doesn't take long. It's just a little tweak, maybe like a quarter tweak, and then you bang the neck to make sure kind of it moves around and settles around, and then you tune it back up, and hopefully it's gone the right way and it's all good. And the way you tell if it's out is it can be one of 2 things. If it's gone one way, it means that the strings are getting so close to like the 12th fret that they're buzzing out, they're actually touching, so you can tell that way. Or if the neck has bent kind of away like this, it means the action is impossibly high and around the middle frets, because if you imagine a bow and arrow, if you imagine the bow of a bow and arrow, that, you know, the neck is kind of bowed like that, hopefully not that extremely. Did your guitar enjoy the first class seatings? Certainly, maybe some champagne. Yeah, I know. Wasn't that amazing? I did actually ask them if we could change places. They were having none of it. But yeah, I did ask for some champagne and a vegan meal for it. I can't tell you if it had it. They didn't tell me. But yes, you see a Rubik's Cube. Let's see if anybody... Oh, here we go. Here's a question that you probably don't want to answer. Any embarrassing? Oh yeah, nice shirt. Absolutely, yeah. I should say that he didn't just wear this for this occasion. You were wearing this all
I'm
day.
wearing this today. Yes, I didn't put it on, especially this.
Kathleen Morgan says, "Hello, Mr. B."
Hello, Kathleen. Nice to be here.
So Margaret wants to know: have you got any embarrassing stories about me?
I can't think of any. I can't really think of any embarrassing stories.
All right,
no.
let's move on.
I'm sure. I have to think about that one.
All right, you can come up. We'll come back to that one. So it's a visual inspection versus by sound on the guitar. Yes, it's more by feel. I'll tell you if you are interested in how to check a truss rod, because why not? The only other thing we're talking about is embarrassing stories. I'll show you how to do it. Basically, what you need to do is a truss rod is the thing that runs from this point of the neck right down to the bottom of the neck. So it's basically a bar that runs all the way through the neck, and it's got controls on it, so you can tense it to either bend in this way or bend in this way, so it'll bend either way, and that is to fight the tension of the strings, because obviously the tension of the strings, I hear that some gauge of strings are putting like a ton of tension on the neck, literally a metric ton. So you need to offset that by using a metal bar that you can adjust the tension of. And the way to find out if your neck is straight, and therefore if you need to adjust the truss rod or not, is to measure it against a straight edge. And obviously, the best straight edge we have is a string. So on this guitar, what you do, try and get both frets in on the camera. I'm holding down the bottom fret, I'm holding down the top fret. Now this string should be now perfectly straight, because literally it's a string in tension between 2 points. And you can see here, if you look here, Dad, you can see if I touch this string down, there's actually some give in it.
That's right, yeah.
So that means that this neck is actually bending slightly like a bow. It's bending down like if you imagine this being the bow and arrow. So really, the strings are winning. The strings here are putting the tension on the neck and pulling it back. So really, what I should do on this guitar to make this neck straighter is tighten the truss rod so it bends back. So there you go. That's how it works. Learn something every day.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, if you don't have any embarrassing stories, some cool stories, I'll leave you thinking about it.
Yeah.
What was the most challenging tune on the most recent tune? Was it on the most recent tour, maybe? Most challenging on the most recent tour, yeah. Okay. Most challenging tune on the most recent tour. Well, I've been playing a lot of the tunes for a while. So I'm not sure. I think a lot of the challenges in playing with Carl's band are to remember the stuff, because there's literally 2 hours of material to memorize, and it's all very, very complicated. And if you play a single note out of place because it's only a trio, then everybody notices, because everyone is very, very isolated in there. So I think sometimes probably the most challenging thing to play is a solo spot, because you're on your own, everyone leaves the stage, and you're on your own in front of hundreds of people.
Nowhere to hide.
Literally nowhere to hide. No. Can't look over and blame the bass player.
No, right.
And very often, no matter how much you know it, you find that when you're up there alone playing something very, very complicated and lots to remember, and and you're trying to make it sound very beautiful, and especially the stuff I play, I do a lot of the Debussy stuff in my solo spots. It's very, very exposed. There's no gain and there's no noisy distortion to hide behind. So that's always the toughest thing to play, really, and it's more a mind game than a finger game. It's a real mental battle of really trying to get into that zone and really trying to play it very well. And also, I was changing my solo up a little bit on this tour. I was experimenting. At the moment, my solo is a what's the name for when you compile tunes together?
A compendium or
medley.
Medley.
Medley. That's 31 hours on a plane.
I've written something down here. It's not just made it up as it went on.
It was a medley of tunes. And I changed that medley from night to night.
Sometimes I've heard that one.
It starts off with the.
Right.
And then it goes into Claire de Lune.
Oh, right, yes. I have heard them, right? Yes, I have.
But on this, sometimes I was carrying on Claire de Lune. It's not sounding good because you can hear both sides of the strings here. Sometimes I was playing a bit of Dr. Gradus and Parnassum.
You haven't done Flight of the Bumblebee for a long time.
No, I haven't, no.
Yeah, that was always popular. I always went down.
It was, that's true, yeah. Well, I think the reason why I stopped doing it is, I did it for probably about 10 years straight.
I've just remembered one
I think we're out of time.
Just remembered one event where it was very memorable. This was when Paul was about 17 or 18, and he had to do a concert in a church at the end of the year with all the rest of the music students. And everybody played classical pieces.
Yeah.
They were very, very, very soothing pieces, etc. And the church was full, and the music teachers are there, etc. Paul went on stage with another guitarist.
Dave Bronze.
Dave Bronze.
Yeah.
And just was it Giant Steps?
No, it was the Attitude song by Steve Vai.
And it was just absolutely, completely contrary to what everybody else did, and it woke everybody up.
And we even had choreographed dance steps.
Yeah. And of course we're there as proud parents, and we're sinking slower in our seats because we realised that everybody would be thinking this is not what we expect.
Yeah, you had Mozart, you had Bach, you had
and Steve Vai.
Yeah, and then you had choreographed kicking.
Yeah. But I have to say I was quite chuffed about that. It's nice to wake everybody up.
Chuffed is a northern expression, northern English expression. Chuffed to bits.
Chuffed to bits.
And chuffed to bits means I'm very, very pleased.
Very, very pleased. Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
The education never stops here on Patreon.
Nope.
Hey Terry, how's it going? Okay, cool. Mr. B, do you play music at all?
We've always had guitars in the house. I have 12 guitars, much to my wife's annoyance. Every time I go into a music shop, I always find one that I would love to have, but hey ho, I'm settled at 12.
So you don't have to stoop so
much.
And
I've also maybe got 10 of Paul's at home, so we have a room that we call it the music room, and there's 22 guitars in there. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, we've always had guitar. I've always played guitar, not like Paul. But and we've always been to concerts from a very, very early age. You know, you've seen all the greats.
Absolutely. I think my first concert was Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney, Mark Knopfler,
Dire Straits,
and all when he was about 10 or 11. Chuck Berry, Chuck Berry.
Yeah.
We saw them all, and every time we went to a concert, Paul came along.
Yeah.
And music's always been around the house.
Yeah, but my dad's focused on art. I focused on music. Focused on visual art, should I say?
Yeah, I mean, it was always I was probably a taskmaster on his art. When his art came home, art homework, I insisted it had to be good.
Well, you did it most of the time.
Well, you.
I got amazing. Should I say my dad got amazing grades at my?
Well, no, I was really annoyed once. I got a B. And I mean, I taught art for 30 odd years, and I got a B. I was really annoyed about that. I thought, I must see this art teacher. He's no. So yes, we've always had music around the house, and I do play guitar, but not sort of folk, bluesy, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Shirley says,
"Hello, Prog Jake."
That's Shirley.
Shirley.
Yeah.
Hi. Lovely to hear from you.
Keith. Hey Keith, how's it going? Any deep tracks coming up from the next round of shows? Perhaps something that has not been tackled before. We're sticking with the set list for this year. So on the set list this year, I just came across a set list somewhere. I won't be able to find it now, will I? But I just came across a set list. But let me think what I'm not so sure if you've seen the show this year, Keith. But this year we're opening up with a Baden's Bolero. If you know that. I don't know why I'm playing it on bass, but... we're doing Welcome Back, the usual... we're doing Canario, which is a new one. We're doing the new ones. That's Baden's is a new one. Canario's a new one. Tarkus, the full version of Tarkus. We've not done that for a while. What else are we doing? That's a new one. Tank. I think that's it. We added 4 new ones this year. So those are the fresh arrangements. And although we have done them before in the bands, there's a few of them that we have really changed the arrangement for. So for example, Tank, Simon's never played in the band before. And I think he's doing that on stick, maybe. So it really does change the arrangement. It does make it sound very different. Oh, my mum's here.
Mrs. B, here she comes.
Hi.
Hello.
I've been asleep.
There's a load of questions here. Margaret, have you guys ever played together? Not properly, have we?
No,
really?
not really. No.
Kind of just strum together, maybe.
Yeah. No, I don't like to embarrass him. Main reason.
Shirley said, "Can you tell the cavern story, Peter?"
The what?
The cavern story.
Oh, the cupboard.
Oh, the cavern story. Yes, the first time we saw Paul was actually at the cavern in Liverpool. So we went to Liverpool and.
Of course, the Cavern Club being famous for the Beatles.
It's where the Beatles were. That's where the Beatles were. And I was a big, massive Beatles fan. So to see Paul perform in the Cavern was amazing. And I remember, he looks fairly young now. Takes after his mum, of course. But he was playing, and I was stood next to a group of men. And said, he's made 1 or 2 little errors there. And they,
really? I don't remember this.
Oh yeah, they cottoned on that I was dad.
I don't remember this at all.
So they turned around and sort of looked at me as if to say, what's he talking about? But so that's my cavern story.
Oh, you said that I made a few errors.
Oh yeah.
Oh right, okay.
But it was a joke.
I see. Right.
I mean, he hadn't. He was spot on. But yes, it was a very memorable evening. That was. Yeah. To think that he was in the same venue that my heroes of the 1960s.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
Terry says that she likes your artwork.
Well, I'm doing a lot more ceramic work. In fact, I've probably going to have an exhibition sometime in probably about August, September. I've been down to a gallery who would like to show some of my work. So I've got about 15, 16 pieces that all based on rock pools. I've done a lot of photographs and drawings of rock pools, mainly when we're on holiday, and I've done some ceramic work on that theme. Yeah.
Yeah, and Terry is the lady who made, the mosaic we've got of Darwin.
Oh, right, yeah, that's brilliant.
And Terry does amazing artwork, lots of mosaics.
Yeah, well done, Terry. It really does capture Darwin, doesn't it?
It really does, it's absolutely him, yeah. Margaret says that she follows your sculpture on your page as well.
Yeah, thanks, Margaret. I'm going to put some more pieces on, which I've finished. So I'll be, I've got quite a few pieces to put on. Yeah, be doing that when I get back.
All right, Margaret, how long does it take you to learn a new piece or arrangement? Probably about the same amount of time as it takes me to arrange it. Usually I find that the big task is actually coming up with how to play it, and once I've spent that amount of time on it, then I can play it. So in an actual duration of time, it really depends. It really depends. It can take anything from a day for a simple piece to maybe a week or two for a more complex piece. So a lot of the stuff that I do, the really complex arrangement stuff, the solo stuff, takes longer. It'll take a good few days to arrange it. So maybe a week to arrange it, and then a lot of the time it'll take longer to get it up to speed. So it'll take maybe another week or two to get it up to speed. But one thing I've found about playing live, I realise there's some other professional musicians among us, but playing live is nothing like playing here. For my dad, or for you guys even, or for I used to teach a lot. It's nothing like playing for a classroom of students. Playing live under lights and in front of hundreds of people, completely different scenario. And unless you've played it live, you can't really play it live. So I don't know. It's difficult to prepare for that live setting. Not because it's harder, but just because it's different. So you're in a different place. Your heartbeat is so much is raised a lot. And there's a great story about, I think I might have told this before, but there's a great story about Gary Moore, and somebody asked him how they saw he was playing. He did a show and he was absolutely blind drunk, but it sounded incredible. And they asked him, how on earth do you manage to play so well drunk? And his answer was, he practiced drunk. But the joking aside, the truth in that is trying to practice in the scenario where you are is really, really helpful because everything changes. So yes, in answer to your question, maybe from a day up until a month, but until you've played it live, it's very, very difficult to say that you've actually learned it. Okay. I love Anne says you both could not stop smiling. Oh, at the cabin club.
The smiling thing was when we came out. We came out of the cabin.
Oh, yeah.
And we walked towards the car park, where the car was parked. And as we walked along, the shop windows obviously were very, very dark. It was about maybe 11, 12 o'clock at night. And I noticed, I looked in the windows, and we both had big smiles on our faces. And neither of us were talking, but we had these fixed smiles, these grins, and we were so proud of that evening. We both looked at one another and laughed because we realised we were both smiling all the way home.
Well, yeah. I think that's a lovely note to leave it on.
Oh yeah, there are other notes, but I can't think of them right now.
How about this note? All right. Well,
Hey, love to see you all, and perhaps see you again sometime.
absolutely. Well, they're going to be here for a couple of weeks, so I'm gonna put it onto the other camera, so we can see. We can let the star of the show take us out. It doesn't look.
Where is he?
He doesn't look too impressed, does he?
Right. No, he didn't.
Would you like to say anything to your fans, Darwin? What would you like to say, Darwin? Say goodbye. He's not impressed. He's had a hard day. All right. Thanks very much, patrons. On our next live streaming session, I am going to get some instruments up and running in this room. So I'll give you some music starting from the next live streaming sessions. I'd like to. Obviously, these question and answer sessions are great, but it'd be good to turn them into part concert and part Q&A session. So I shall be doing that, starting to introduce that element from next week. All right, guys. Thank you very much. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.